You're now tuned in to the Real Money Coach broadcast with host Tony Jackson, author of the book Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. Get ready for winning tips and strategies to effectively manage your finances and learn the key principles of protecting and dominating your money. Now, here's author and host Tony Jackson.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9. And as you know, every place that you get your podcast. Listen, I know people are enjoying the podcast because, you can listen to when you want to listen. You can pause it. You can do all these type of things. So even if you enjoyed, dialing in, tuning in here on Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, right? You can go back and listen to the show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Pandora, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast. So I'm pretty excited about that. It is going well. Thank you for all of your tremendous support that you're giving the Real Money Coach Show. Listen, I want to talk about a couple things. Earlier in the week, I did my Money Minute with Melody Pratt's show, and also, I do Money Minute with Olympia D over on 105.3 R&B. But one of the things that really have been talking about is Damar Hamlin. And, of course, that's been, all over the news every day because of his collapse during the football game that was saw by millions of people, right? And so many people have been following that whole story. Well, I want to bring a little bit of the financial side into this, because what happens is we see these professional athletes and we see that they make millions of dollars, right? Some of them, he was not at the top of the pay scale by any stretch of the imagination in terms of NFL type money, right? Now, for us, he had a contract. He was in his second year of his rookie contract. That contract was $3.64 million. And the other thought that I have as it relates to that is we see these guys, especially NFL, I think hockey's another one, which are very high contact sports. And the risk there of their health, concussions, CTE, some of these type of things, they're getting paid a lot, but there's a lot at risk. And we know for years and years, the NFL and they kind of hid those things or it weren't reported, right? So, and then many of them say, hey, I do this because of the number of people that I'm taking care of. Oftentimes, they've seen as the financial hero in their families. And, to be honest with you, if you had millions of dollars, I don't know if you played Mega Millions or whatever. I happen not to do that, right? But, who would you be taking care of if you got that much money? There's probably a lot of people in our families we would take care of. So the pressure's there for them to do that. And so they actually risk their lives and health to do this. Well, what happens sometimes, and in Damar's case, he gets hurt in a game, and he ends up on, you will hear it called the IR list, right? The injured reserve list. So what happens when you end up on the injured reserve list? Well, in most of their cases, their money's cut in half. And so instead of, if they're not active on the roster, and of course some of this is depending on their contract, but essentially for him, that meant that his money that he would have made for this season, $825,000, will be cut in half. And you said, well, heck, that's still $455,000. Well, think about his health. Is that priceless? What's your thoughts on it? And so, and here's the thing more than that. Any of us, regardless of our income level, so if you make $100,000, you make $50,000, whatever it is, if you woke up tomorrow and said, hey, listen, I know that you're making $100,000, but now you're going to have to make 50. Or if you made 50, now you're making 25. You have a budget, you have a lifestyle that's based on the full amount. And now all of a sudden you find yourself with half of that. And you're in the hospital, right? And so you now have not only the worries about getting healthy for your health standpoint, but, would it be in your mind about, well, what's going to happen to me financially now? I mean, I would think that it would be a natural human instinct to worry about that. Well, here's the good news. The good news is between the Players Association, NFL Players Association, and the Buffalo Bills, the team that he played for, even though they're not contracted and obligated to do this, they have decided to continue to pay him his full salary. No obligation whatsoever to do that, but he's still going to continue to receive his full salary. So I think that's amazing, and I think that says a lot about what the Players Association and about the organization of the Buffalo Bills. So I wanted to share that with you because I think that was pretty awesome. The other thing quickly before we go to a quick break here is that many of you, and they've been reporting this on the news, his GoFundMe is up to $8.6 million. Now, this GoFundMe is actually was for a toy drive that he was doing. And so now, because of the outpouring of the public and everyone, that toy drive right now, or that GoFundMe, is up to $8.6 million. And so my understanding is that his family have hired a nonprofit organization called the Giving Back Fund that helps athletes and celebrities manage their charitable giving. And so he's now got his family, him, have gotten some professional help of, okay, now that we've got this $8.6 million, what do we do with it? How do we use it to better the community? And so that's the feel-good story. And so most of all, we're glad that his health is progressing remarkably well. So listen, this is the Real Money Coach Show, and for our interview, I'm going to have an actor, entrepreneur that's going to be on named Roderick Lawrence. So we're going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with the interview with Mr. Roderick Lawrence. You're listening to the Real Money Coach Show.
Family, join author Tony Jackson for the Real Money Coach broadcast each and every Saturday morning from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9. Mr. Jackson enlightens you on the real secrets of money. He'll also help you increase, protect, and dominate your money. You can also catch Tony Jackson's The Real Money Coach every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube. Check out The Real Money Coach, Mr. Tony Jackson, every Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9.
Hey, Tony Jackson here. You know me as The Real Money Coach. Listen, I want to encourage you to do something. And what I want to encourage you to do is email me your questions, your comments, or even suggestions of topics that you'd like us to cover on the Real Money Coach Show, you can email it to info@therealmoneycoach.com. Again, that's info@therealmoneycoach.com. Email us your questions, your comments, your suggestions, and we will answer those on air and also on our Facebook Live YouTube show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you email us so that we can get that information that you want to know in your ears. I am Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach.
And welcome back to the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
Welcome back to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station. And as I've been telling you, everywhere that you get your podcast. As I mentioned in the first part of the show, I have Mr. Roderick Lawrence on the line with me. He is co-founder of Black Man Films. He is an actor. He is an entrepreneur. He is, let me just say this. He is all of that, and he is on the line. Roderick, how are you doing this morning?
I'm blessed, brother. How are you?
Man, I am simply wonderful now that I have you on the line and our Charlotte listeners and people listening all across the country. I think I mentioned to you earlier is that we even had people from the U.S. Virgin Islands on. We've had people from the continent on. So it's a beautiful thing. We're just trying to do our thing, man. We just trying to get this message out of hope and entrepreneurship. And so, man, for our listeners who may not be familiar with you, tell them who Roderick Lawrence is.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, brother. Man, this is really cool. I am an actor, as you said, who during COVID, I found some new gifts within my gifts. Everything got flipped on its head. Everybody's life changed. I was actually supposed to go into that new year with a new show that was coming on to Broadway, and COVID canceled that. I was actually doing Fences while COVID hit, and that was canceled. And so it's just really crazy. Had all these plans and all these things, but I had a lot of time to sit and discover some things. And I had an idea for a film that then resulted in an idea of having this greater production company for us, and for Black folks to have an artistic outlet that's holding up to the Hollywood standard, and we've been blessed to make it an ongoing thing. So I'm an actor who is now a filmmaker, and I am co-founder of Black Man Films. And and thanks for having me here.
Man, that's pretty cool, man. I didn't know Fences was to your credit, man, but I knew that you had picked Simba, right? I mean, I'm talking about Simba, right? Simba, you did Simba, man. That's huge. Simba is like that dominant character, man. I love Simba, and then Ramses and the Prince of Egypt, man. These are iconic characters that you've been playing. So what were you doing in Fences?
So the crazy thing was, we didn't get to perform. We had, Ted Lange from Love Boat. Mm-hmm. He was our director.
Really?
And,
okay.
Yeah. And we had 2 weeks of rehearsal, and COVID hit, and they were like, "Hey guys, we're going to chill for a couple of days, and then we're going to chill for a week. And then we're going to, this is what's happening." Right. So we never even, so I actually ended up doing 7 guitars at Arena Stage in DC last December. And that was my first August Wilson. But I did not even get to perform Fences, so one day. But,
man, and kind of, I'm a little dating myself, man, because not a lot of people remember Love Boat, man, and that whole thing. That's pretty dope. So, man, tell me a little bit about Black Man Films. I mean, tell us a little bit about what that's about.
Yeah, so, excuse me. So when I had the idea of the film and, to highlight Black male mental health and microaggressions and these things and whatever, and my co-producer, Selma, she hit me one day in the midst of making the project, and she was like, "Did you ever consider, having your own production company?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." I hadn't considered that and all these things. And what happened was I told her, I was like, if Black Man Films is available, because it was the first thing that came to my head, and it me. I was like, if that's available in the domain name and it's not a production company and all this stuff, if that's available, we're going to do this. And if it's not, then I don't want it. It's not for me. And it happened to be available in all types of ways, man. And we made this, now this production company where we just finished another film. We're doing another film next month. We're doing the feature film of Silent Partner this year. It's just been like such an unbelievable surprise and a blessing that kind of popped up from this film.
Well, man, I think so. I think that's important because, obviously we're the Real Money Coach. We like money, right? And entrepreneurship. And I think, and from what I hear, not being close to it, but, just in entertainment, Hollywood, that we a lot of times are in front of the camera, but we don't get to see a lot of us that we know of, at least that are behind the camera, certainly owning production. And I kind of see it in my mind that you've gone from seeking roles to actually being able to give other people roles. And jobs. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's unbelievable. And there's not enough in front of us. There's not enough of us in front of the camera, let alone behind the camera. But the thing about behind the camera, I don't know how to do those things. I didn't direct our film. I hired brilliant folks who knew how to do all those things, but we had an all Black creative team. I had all Black writers. I had all Black director. I had a Black DP, everything. And I was insistent upon it. And we got the best ones. And it was just a testament to like what we can do, holding ourselves accountable to a certain level and putting together those types of minds. So we got to create like 50 Black, like high level, creative jobs and give this kind of credit and this kind of experience and these kind of things and link networks and all that stuff, man. So it's beautiful to find, a way to be able to use whatever gifts I do have, like to use those to help other people, help other people find their space and do that stuff. So that's been kind of one of the biggest blessings of the whole thing.
Well, it's so dope is that when we can collectively come together, man, we are powerful beyond measure. Yeah. Man. So I think that's pretty cool. Well, I've been privileged to get a little sneak preview of this thing called Silent Partners, man. And let me tell you something. When you come on Tuesday at 8 p.m. on our Facebook Live and YouTube, I want to unpack that because that thing, that was a powerful 16 minutes. And I was caught up in it, right, man? I was caught up in it. And so hopefully we'll get a chance to unpack that on Tuesday because I think that has some messages in it that are so pertinent to us and to our people. And so I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. I'm going to let you talk about that on Tuesday. So, man, I want to thank you again for being with us this morning, and I can't wait for Tuesday.
Thank you, brother. I will see you on Tuesday. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Hey, listen, folks, we're going to take another quick break, and I'm going to come back and close our show down. You're listening to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station.
Living in a world, confusion, trouble, trials and tribulations on every hand. Calling on Jesus, my problem solver. If you don't know him, he's a wonderful God, because you didn't have to do it. Thank you, Jesus, but you did it. Didn't have to do it. You've been so good to me. Didn't have to do it, but you did it. But you did it. Yeah. Didn't have to do it. Been so good. Been so good to me. Me travel all over the world, sing your praises. Wanna thank you for blessing me.
Hey, Tony Jackson here. You know me as the Real Money Coach. Listen, I want to encourage you to do something. And what I want to encourage you to do is email me your questions, your comments, or even suggestions of topics that you would like us to cover on the Real Money Coach Show, you can email it to info@therealmoneycoach.com. Again, that's info@therealmoneycoach.com. Email us your questions, your comments, your suggestions, and we will answer those on air and also on our Facebook Live YouTube show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you email us so that we can get that information that you want to know in your ears. I am Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach.
Hey, Grace family, join author Tony Jackson for the Real Money Coach broadcast each and every Saturday morning from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9. Mr. Jackson enlightens you on the real secrets of money. He'll also help you increase, protect, and dominate your money. You can also catch Tony Jackson's The Real Money Coach every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube. Check out The Real Money Coach, Mr. Tony Jackson, every Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9.
And welcome back to the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
All right. Welcome back to the Real Money Coach Show. I'm looking forward to unpacking that whole segment with Roderick Lawrence on our show live on Tuesday, 8 p.m. And I'll tell you, I'm really recommending that you guys check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think that's the best way to see our live show. Because to be honest with you, Facebook is a little fickle. So I don't know what's going on with Facebook, but I think YouTube is a great way to do it. And I'm just really, hopefully you all, and we'll check this out. I'll have a conversation with him. Maybe, just maybe, my man would let me show a little bit of the segment from a little bit of the clip from his Silent Partner short film. Now, what I've been telling you in terms of our Facebook Live show and also here, I mentioned the last spending bill that was passed here by Congress. And last week I talked a little bit about the retirement piece of it. Today, I want to focus in on a portion of it that I think is kind of good news, and that's surrounding Pell Grant. So if you have kids or your grandkids in school, and if they're eligible to receive Pell Grant, part of this new spending plan, this new law, this new budget, is to increase the amount of Pell Grant for this coming year. So for academic year fall of 23 through spring of 24, they actually increased the Pell Grant award by $500. And this is actually the largest increase that they've had since 2009, 2010 academic year. And it's estimated that about 7 million students will receive Pell Grants to help them pay for school. And so that is, I think that's great news. That's part of this budget, is that increase in Pell Grant. So, of course, if I start talking about Pell Grant, that leads us into other things that are related. So, for example, the FAFSA, right? The financial aid application. So I just want to remind people that opened up on October 2nd, and you have until June 30th to actually apply for financial aid for the fall. Now, here's the thing, is if you're starting school in this semester, or you have family members, and even if you're going back to school, right? If you even are in your career and say, hey, listen, I want to do something different, then that is available for you. So you got to look at the deadlines. But getting that FAFSA in is the key. And getting that in, getting it completed, your taxes and all those type of things that you need. But I want to remind you to make sure you get that done. Now, of course, when we start talking about that, a lot of people are awarded is student loans, which brings us to me giving you just a really, really quick clients that I've met with this last week, and we've been talking about student loans. Well, what's happening right now is that the challengers, the challenging people who are challenging the whole legality of the student loan forgiveness have until January 27th to file their legal briefs against the Biden administration, which had to have theirs in on January 4th. So what happens now is that they have until January 27th to file their legal briefs, and then the Biden administration will have an opportunity to reply to their briefs, which will be due by February 15th. So once all that's done, then that legal process will continue. Now, it's my understanding that it'll be 60 days after that before anything happens, that type of thing. Now, in the meantime, what has happened is that that the student loan repayment, like right now, people don't have to pay their student loans. Well, 60 days after a decision is made in terms of the legality of the student loan forgiveness, 60 days after that, payments start back. So right now, anyway, what they're looking at is June 30th. So if we don't have this resolved, so it's whatever comes first. So for example, if this whole thing is resolved on March 1st, then what happens is that you have all of March, all of April, and then payments restart in May. If it's not resolved by then June 30th is the day that your student loan payments will have to start back. And so, we're just keeping an eye and keeping a pulse on what's going on there. So kind of related to this, as I was thinking about this, it's like, okay, if you run up all this debt and you do this to go to school, what are the best paying jobs to have? I mean, if I'm going to run up hundreds and thousands of dollars of debt, I want to know what's the best paying jobs in America. And so this study just came out, and I'm just going to share the top 3 with you. The number one job. Now, this is based on it's based on a couple of things. It's based on the pay. These particular jobs, we're looking at jobs that pay more than $120,000 a year. So we're looking at the pay, the stress level, and a healthy work-life imbalance. That's what this particular study by Market Watch was focused on. And so based on that criteria, the number one job to have in America, paying at a median income of $121,000, is to be a software developer. Number one job. So that goes back to STEM and all that good stuff. The number 2 job is to being a nurse practitioner. So we got STEM, we got the medical field, right? And then number 3 was also in the medical field, and that is to be a medical and health service provider or manager, right? And then number 4 was being a physician's assistant. So of the top 4, 3 of them are in the medical field, and 1 happens to be a software developer. So listen, that's just a quick, if you're going to study, you're going to school, you want to know how you're going to get paid, what's the best jobs, those are the 4 according to Market Watch. Listen, you've been listening to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9. I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you dial in with us on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll break down that movie, Silent Partner, and have further conversations with our guest, Mr. Roderick Lawrence. Y'all have a great weekend.
We hope you've enjoyed the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host Tony Jackson. We encourage you to utilize today's strategies and principles to manage your money in the most effective and winning way. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us an email, TonyJacksonAgency@gmail.com, or you can reach us on all social media platforms. And if you would like a copy of Tony Jackson's book, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money, log on to www.therealmoneycoach.com. Until next week's empowering broadcast, God bless.